back. You've been warned.
We are back, yes, with another episode of Glasshouse Presents Throwing Stones, our weekly podcast. We had to move the time to 1 o'clock instead of 8 p.m. It just kind of worked out better. So hope you can all join us. And we have a fantastic guest today, independent artist extraordinaire, Silvio Spotti.
Yep. I have known Silvio online for a bunch of years, but this is our first real opportunity to talk. Um, After we go through a bit about Silvio and some of the terrific projects he's working on, we're going to be bringing up the subject of AI generated work and the pros and cons, and a lot of cons to this. But we wanted to have a nice conversation about it. And then we're going to talk about the late Jim Shooter, who has passed in the past week. And most folks know that Jim was not only editor in chief of Marvel for a decade, but had founded Valiant and Defiant, and I'm sure there's been other companies in there as well. So we'll talk about all that later. But let's bring in Silvio.
All right.
Hello,
Silvio. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. I have enjoyed seeing your artwork as it shows up on Facebook and other social media. Looks
Thank
like you've had some wonderful projects here. Um, I've seen the inspirations of your work where you're channeling the late great Al Rio and some others in your
Yes,
style. And so let's talk about that. How did you start working in comics?
I started working in comics as a penciler,
Mm.
but people usually in Brazil they know me as an inker. Why? Because I was the inker for the comic book named Street Fighter. We had a Brazilian version of this, and I
Okay.
was one of the inkers. And later on, I was the only inker.
Okay.
That's
Wow.
how we can say I started as a penciler, but I dropped that to work as an inker.
Well, we take what jobs we can. Uh, the amazing artist Will Conrad was a guy
Yeah.
submitted penciling samples, and it turned out at the beginning of his career, his inks were better than his pencils. So, of course, I got him in inking work, steadily inking Buffy the Vampire Slayer of the Cliff Richards. So I understand you get in any way that you can. And
Yeah,
then if
exactly.
you,
That's the point, and you can learn a lot about being a penciler by inking people. That's a very good point. You learn a lot because you're gonna have to erase that, and if you do a terrible mistake, you are not good at all. You are not a good inker.
Right.
how did you get that job on that book?
Well, I was a huge Street Fighter fan, and I saw the book was already in the stores, and I need to be part of this. I need so I gave a call to the penciler. And for do you have any jobs, a letter, anything? Anything I do, I erase the pages. Whatever you have. I need an inker. So the
Uh,
next day, I was at his doorstep with samples to show him. And the
Wow.
first assignment was very scary because Jin Lee was doing a cover that unfolds to three, and he gave me
ah,
one of those from Street Fighter. It was three covers in one.
Mm.
I was really scared. It was my first assignment as an inker.
And you had to ink Jim Lee?
No, the guy from Street Fighter.
Oh, okay,
People
gotcha.
was emulating Jin Lee in
Okay,
this
I understand.
format
Got it.
because
Got it.
it was a trend to do the Discover. It was three parts.
Yeah.
It
The
was a
Discover.
wraparound and another one inside that I don't know the name.
Got it. Got it. That is terrific. How long did you work as an inker on Street Fighter?
Oh, from 1996 to the 2000s, I guess. It was a long time.
Oh
It was a
wow.
long time. If you in Brazil, the comic books, they don't used to last that much. You
Yeah.
only have let's say one or two that are very known. They have many numbers issues. No?
Well,
This was one of the Street Fighter magazine was one of them.
Okay, that's great. Job security.
Yeah. Yeah.
so
So,
when
oh,
did you
go ahead.
when did you switch over to penciling? What was your first regular penciling job?
Oh, my first penciling job was with Disney
Ah,
to do Nemo.
Okay,
Nemo is
Nemo. Okay,
okay.
Nemo.
yeah.
Nemo is the animated version.
Yeah.
Is a simplified version, so I could do that. I are very used to do those kinds of characters. So it was simple, and for me, it was the first assignment as a penciler out of the country. For me,
Well,
it was very special, and with that, I could do Duck Donald, Mickey, a lot of things like that.
I love seeing that stuff. Um, Glasshouse had another artist working with us for decades, Fabio Laguna.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
Now, Fabio started out with me as a superhero artist working for Marvel and
exactly. He is a
for
champion. I love his work.
yeah. The thing is, he was doing just okay work with the superhero stuff. There was a lot of swipes and so forth. And then I made a trip to Sao Paulo, and he very timidly said, "May I show you my portfolio of what I prefer to do?" And he opens this up, and it was all that kind of stuff. It was Scooby Doo, it was Mickey
Oh,
Mouse, it was Donald Duck. He said, "This is what I would prefer to do." I said, "Why didn't you show me this years ago?" And he said,
amazing.
"Well, I didn't think I could make any money." I said, "You are so good. I will build your career around this." And he became a top Disney and DreamWorks artist. And so I love seeing that stuff. I honestly didn't know that you do that kind of work.
I did two issues of Scooby Doo. Two
Oh,
issues.
I want to see that stuff sometime. You've got to show me,
Oh,
please.
it was another format. It was that European format,
Hmm.
like Karl Barks used to do the format of the page.
Of
Right.
course.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you prefer inking or penciling? What's your preference?
Or inking. I believe that inking is my thing. I'm first the inker. The penciler comes out of necessity.
Ah.
But everybody that is an artist in comic books wants to be a penciler. So here I am. Uh, especially and doing superheroes is not an easy task. So I have to thank Top Secret Press for having a lot of patience with me. So they let me do whatever I want. So I have freedom to do a better page by drawing my own script.
Mm.
So I'm the writer, and I'm penciling what I want. That
And
that's
and
That
a
s-
makes
good thing.
it easier for you to put the stuff you want to draw on paper so you can shine the best.
right.
Exactly.
Uh,
And that's a good segue.
Sometimes
Speaking, oh, go
sometimes
ahead.
I force myself to do stuff that I don't like to, so I can evolve as an artist, or
so I
will
understand
be
that.
stuck forever. If you don't struggle, then it won't happen.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Uh,
can
yeah.
only draw what you want. You want. If people do only what they want, there will be Spider-Mans all over the pages and nothing else, and
Yeah.
Hulk and nothing else.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Chris and I were talking. I think it was yesterday, where we were saying some people say, "Well, I've been in the business 30 years." Then you look
Uh,
at their work. It's like, okay, uh, have you had 30 years experience or 1 year's experience 30 times? Because they reached a certain level but didn't evolve and grow beyond that.
what
Yeah,
for me, when I see your posters on Facebook, what scares me the most is that people won't come back with the samples that you told them to please fix this and return the art. No, they never show.
correct.
Why they do that?
As far as I can tell, those become the artists that never get anywhere,
uh,
because if they can't do revisions based on my feedback, how are they going to do revisions when an editor at Marvel or DC or Dark Horse or any of the others uh, want those changes?
I did revisions in a record 20 times in one page for Disney. If you don't do that, you're never hired again.
Oh yeah, I remember when I was at Disney um, uh, with Fabio. We had just done a Cars children's book,
Oh, cars.
and we were uh, at Disney Worldwide Publishing, and they brought in the editor, the art director, the color manager, I don't know, some other person, and a representative from Pixar, all to review the pages. And they blew the pages up onto a giant screen,
Oh,
and all of them had laser pointers. Okay, this eye needs to be 1/16 of an inch smaller.
oh my
Okay,
God.
this color on page 8 does not exactly match the color on page 32. It looks like two different people did it.
Oh my
Well,
God.
yeah, two different people did do it. All right, they need to match. Now, you need to color match it with this. So it was just so many tiny fixes. So you're right. These people who submit work to me, and I give them editorial feedback of what to fix. Uh, if they can't get used to that as a normal part of the process,
It
they're not
is.
going to get jobs. Yeah,
Yeah.
they might get in, they might get a job, but they're not going to get that second job.
Oh, they won't work anymore.
Yeah. People need to, they quickly find out that there's a difference between being an artist and a commercial artist. Two
Exactly.
different things.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Every,
Chris is yeah,
anyone
Chris is
can pick up a pencil and
yeah,
do their thing, but commercially is very different.
yes. Um, yeah, Chris is doing some video editing, for me, and it's some sound design and all this. And we're going through a long process here. So he's used to going through a dozen revisions with me on getting something just right. And it's sometimes he'll give me something, and it's not at all what we need, but it's like having that mound of clay and then
Yeah, something
working
to
your
work
way.
with.
Yeah, and by the time we're done, Chris gives me something amazing. But it's that process of 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 getting there and all those feedbacks and revisions. So
There's been plenty of times where I've sent David, like the first cut of something, right? The first revision, and he'll take a look at it and he'll be like, "Okay, I need a drink first. Let me go get a drink, then we'll go over this."
Uh,
yeah,
of course,
depending on
that
the
helps.
piece you've sent, will determine how strong that drink's got to be. Uh, um, uh, Silvio,
Uh,
what are you working on right now and upcoming for the American market?
yes, I'm working on Sword of Justice,
All right,
which is
let's show some of that here.
that one. That is the volume two of Sword of Justice.
That
We,
is a lovely cover.
yes, I try to emulate everybody that I love. Aurel, Dale Keon. You will see a little bit of all of that. Gene Lee, Silvestri.
And this is your own creator project, right? You own this project.
No, I have another one, a previous one that is Ruby and the Warriors of Dion.
Okay, all right. So there's the line art for this.
Now, are you
Yeah.
doing the pencils and inks and colors, or someone else doing your colors?
Someone else is doing the colors. Veronica Lopez is a Spanish painter.
Ah, okay.
She's very good. I don't have to ask for anything. She painted and is correct. Everything is correct.
Another
All right.
cover here. Yeah.
She
very
already
good.
knows the task.
So, is this project through Kickstarter?
Yes, all of that is from Kickstarter. It's
Is
published by Top Secret Press. I was invited to do this book to Top Secret Press because I had a problem with Ruby. Even though Ruby is sold on Kickstarter, the publisher decided not to print the book at all and took the money.
oh my gosh.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. That's
That was
horrible.
terrible.
I've dealt with some publishers like that.
Yes. And some people are doing that on Indiegogo and Kickstarter.
Yeah.
What is the point to have a campaign if you're not going to print the book?
I've done 16 Kickstarters, I think, and I handle things differently than a lot of these folks. We'll do a Kickstarter here, and because part of my business is we print books for clients, and I get a lot of books printed in China. So not only will I print the Kickstarter that we're gonna do now or have already put up there, but I will pre-produce my next 4 Kickstarters. So I have books. It's like in 3 months we're going to be soliciting Legends of the Stargrazers, but I already got the book printed. So I make sure I always fulfill things. So I am so sorry you went through
fulfillment
this.
is the most important part on campaign.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe if you allow me to say, the most difficult, because you have to deal with the mail. The mail, they are not the same all over the globe.
Yeah, true, true.
So, what's your experience? Like, have you had a bad experience with the mail in like Sao Paulo
Very
in
few.
Brazil?
Eh, eh, Not usually. They used to be a little bit slow. That's the complaint.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's the complaint.
yeah.
But
I know
but
I have shipped books, packages of books to, comp copies and stuff to artists in Brazil that they just vanish. They never make it to the artist.
oh,
So,
it
so
happens.
that's a concern.
That's a
Uh,
concern.
anyway, let's keep looking at some of your swell artwork here.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Love this.
Those pages from Ruby, they were never printed. I was working the issue, and the publisher said, I don't want anymore.
Wow.
I don't understand why someone wouldn't want to print this.
Well,
This is like really fantastic work. I always love your work. Like it comes across my Facebook feed all the time. I see your stuff all the time, and I always look at it, and I always amazed by how well it's done. So
in this one, there was I was a plotter, but there was a writer for this.
Mm. Uh,
So
uh,
I'm not in here in this I'm not drawing out of my head. There was a script
yeah.
okay, all right.
Are you working digitally or on paper?
on paper. On
Okay.
paper, everything is done on paper because
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
I find difficult to do digitally.
Well, I asked because I didn't see any of the telltale digital signs. And
Uh,
there are a few artists that are so good at the digital that you can't tell. So
you can
that's
tell
why I asked. But I'm glad that you're still working on paper, which means there's original art to collect later and so
exactly. We need to think that we are getting older and probably we'll have issues in the future, and we need something to say.
very very true.
Exactly.
But I've got to say, you say you're getting older, but you draw like a young artist.
Oh, thank you.
So
Thank
that
you.
that is wonderful.
How
I'm
long have
glad
you
that
been?
that it shows.
How long have you been working on this book?
Uh, on Sword of Justice since 2019, I believe.
Okay.
But it is an older idea that I have from 96. It was waiting all that time. Then chance arrived to be published.
Oh, I'm the same way. It's like I had an idea for a book called Thundersars way back
Oh,
when I was publishing Innovation, and uh, I think I had the idea in 1990, and we just did the Kickstarter. We'll be shipping that book next month.
oh,
So it's been
never
around.
kill an idea.
Yeah. So I understand letting an idea percolate till we're in a position to let it come out. Oh, that's a lovely
Maybe
piece.
maybe I can have Ruby published in the next future.
There's no reason why not. If it's not come out, you've got all that material.
And maybe
It,
with better artists. This is the first cover for Sword of Justice.
Ah,
This cover was painted by Vittorio Astoni. I believe he's doing for IDW Canto.
okay.
okay.
Very nice.
I'm, uh, I, I'm fortunate enough to work with people that later on they go to amazing books. Ivan Nunes painted one of our covers, and he's now doing Spawn.
Yeah.
He won't colors anymore, I believe. Spawn is always a Spawn.
Right.
Yeah, of course, of course.
All right. Yeah, some more fantastic artwork here.
This is lovely. Uh,
Oh,
And
this is because I'm also the letter in the comic book.
oh,
okay.
so you just do it all.
Yes,
It's a one man production.
yes, that's why we see the letter in the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you know he did all this, David? I
I
didn't
did.
know he did.
I knew he penciled and inked and could write. I didn't know he did the lettering. Uh, I'm
I
trying
don't
to
know.
read the lettering. That black on or that green on black is tough to read.
Oh, yeah. If the book must be published, I will do everything.
Yeah.
But please publish this.
Oh, okay, and that's okay. There we go.
Of course, I have help with the text. I have revisions. There is a person, top secret press, and John, he puts a person to revise the text to see if it's
Okay.
correct. I speak Portuguese.
I understand completely. All right. Yeah, this is nice stuff. So if you've got a project that hasn't been published, then uh, you need to shift gears and get it out there. It's like,
Is that
ah,
I know everybody have issues here and there, one hand here, anatomy and all.
Oh, I really like these pages.
But,
These are
but
really
this
nice.
always happens.
yeah,
All right.
This book is a nod to the 90s. I believe it was perfect. I believe it was perfect because we had the bad girls, we
of
had
course.
action, we have darker characters. I just love all that.
Sure, sure. This is yeah,
Beautiful.
nice
All right.
stuff. Thank you
Very
for
nice.
sharing that with us. Do you
Oh, thank you for showing that.
are you uh, you're currently working on that? Is that filling
Yes,
up your year, or do you
Word of
have other?
Justice Origins. They are three issues telling
Uh,
the origins of the three main characters.
oh, okay.
But
Very
inside of that, of course, you will get to know more about new characters that are not on the previous books. There is always new stuff.
of course,
All
of
right.
course.
So, in addition to your work penciling and inking and lettering and probably binding the books and shipping them out yourself and doing everything else, um, you work with you've done some work with AI, right?
No, the AI is an experiment to me.
Okay, all right.
I tell you why. In the beginning, as you know, we are artists. We are working pages every day. We can read books. I'm always looking for a test reader, something that can read the books, so I can hear. Now we have an industry that people record somebody reading the book. You have Harry Potter. You have it all. That thing comes from the text. All of a sudden
Yeah.
those guys they developed something that they started to do little illustrations like this, and now we have this. So I was experimenting with all that. Why? Because in the 90s, when Photoshop became a thing, I was very far behind, and I don't want to be behind in the future. I want to know how this thing works.
Of
And
course.
I think that people, as an artist, I have the obligation to do how this thing works. Even if I can program the software to do the thing correct, because it can do hands.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
It doesn't have the consistency that we need on a comic book.
Yeah, so we've been having a lot of conversations about this whole AI thing because they call it artificial intelligence, but there's no intelligence there. At,
No.
at least in terms of the uh, in terms of AI uh, creating, or rather generating images, it just scrapes the off the internet copyrighted images by real artists, and
Yes.
that has been the problem. And because Bill Sienkiewicz put this up,
Yeah,
uh,
I saw that.
and yeah, and he's very right in that sense because uh, AI AI stands as um, a means to take paying work
Oh,
away from real artists. And so for the past several years, Glasshouse Graphics has avoided anything AI related, specifically because um,
yes.
we wanted to stay away from um, promoting or supporting anything that can take work away from artists. So something odd has happened in the past few weeks where we have gotten so many requests from clients who want us to work in AI with them.
Mm.
It's like, okay, we're already using AI, we're generating these images, but they're not right. Can you guys fix them?
Ah, the
And
hands, the eyes.
yeah, it's like, well, why didn't you come to us uh, to do the work, do all the work? Well, the budget is only this much, and if we hire your artist, it's this much, and we can't afford to do it at all. But we can afford to pay at least this amount of money to you
I
guys
understand.
to do it. So there is work for the artist there. It's become a situation. Ignoring the AI isn't going to make it go away. Uh,
No,
uh,
I don't believe that.
yeah, people are going to use it no matter what. Can we show some of your experiments
Yes, that's
with
an
AI?
image to me. Oh, this is me trying to get those images to work.
Yes, yes. Talk about that. Your process, what you attempted to
Yes,
do.
at first you see that woman that I find very interesting. That woman, you can only do one position with that. You can replicate that. If you ask the AI to do this again, but arms raised, she is now flying. You can do that. It won't have consistency. Not right now, but maybe in 2 3 years we will
Yeah,
be able to do that just as easy as we ask for the image to make an image to me. This is just like a photo. It looks like a photo.
yeah,
But this is all AI.
This is all AI.
AI is
Now you
exceedingly.
get an image of your character and ask the AI to do this. I want a sculpture, a geek sculpture, and he will do that for you.
AI is exceedingly good at
It's getting
creating
better
at,
fast.
at creating single images. But like you
Exactly.
said, when it comes to
Exactly.
replicating that and being
But that I
consistent,
believe
yeah,
is because there was not the one person interested in. I'm gonna make this AI just for comics.
yeah,
right.
They
And
think they will lose money. No, they will make a lot of money with that.
yeah, comic artists are very, very safe right now. As there is not a single AI program that can produce consistent quality comic book pages.
No, no, not that I know.
Yeah. So
All of these are image to image. You use one image, one real image, and they make the statuette.
yeah.
This one is shot GPT.
Okay, Chat GPT is very good.
Yeah, this is very good. He it can also do the if you come back one, it can do the improve your logo. If you have a flat logo, please do this logo in metal, in stone. It will do that.
Yeah. So I'm seeing some value in it. Where Glasshouse is trying to do is, since so many clients are pushing for AI because it's going to save money, et cetera, and their clients tend to be cheap. Um, I'm trying to figure out a way to structure it so that if people are coming to us uh, to have to do anything with AI, that I put it in the hands of real artists. So people like Chris who can draw, who can color, can plus has all the video and audio editing skills, can use AI.
I understand that if you have let's say this image have flaws and I don't want this or that, a
Yeah,
very skilled artist can remove all that and paint on
yeah.
top of that if necessary.
But I also want it so that our clients will be. Oh, that's very nice. Um, so that our clients will be able to um, yeah, go in or hire our people, and if they want AI generated and hire us to do it, it's in the hands of real artists. So our real artists can use those programs the way they would Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator or
Precisely.
any of the other things. So it becomes a tool, not a crutch,
A
but
tool. That's how I see this. Is
yeah.
just a tool. Just a
And
tool.
and and if we can do it like that, and our artists can make money using it, then then great. Then it's in the hands of the right people, not in the hands of non-artists that are uh, creating terrible images and so forth. And
Yes.
we're doing a lot of experimenting right now with moving images. Um, uh, for example, we have done a number of video comics for people where they want their comics, so we're doing extra work on them so that the characters are separated from the background, so they can move things around. So there's limited movement.
Layers and layers.
Yeah, and that's complicated. So Chris has been experimenting with some stuff.
Oh, but let me tell you this. Let me tell you. Oh, I know this one. That's beautiful.
So
This
that
is
was
this is, this is kind.
yeah, that was a project of mine that one of our artists was had drawn, and I think that's like 4 panels out of the first couple of pages of the story. It's not even the
Yes.
entire first 2 pages, but Chris was able to get that as a first attempt.
Excellent.
So if it becomes something that Chris and my other artists are able to work with to be able to give clients the animated version of their books. Let's say um, uh, let let's say they hire Cliff Richards to draw the comic. Then it may be possible to also pay Cliff Richards to produce the animated version of it, or
And
they come.
that can help to sell a book.
Yeah,
You
that
put
that
this you put this on a Kickstarter, you're gonna have more than 15K. that
uh,
that will happen.
yeah. So there are advantages to doing this if we're putting them in the hands of real artists to be able
Yeah.
to make this stuff work.
Right.
Um, One of the things that I've seen across the decades is that if you want to know if a new technology is going to be successful, you look at the porn industry. Uh, no, no,
Yeah.
it sounds like a joke, but it's real. Um,
It is real.
yeah, if you go back to when um, videotapes were first coming out, and they were very expensive. Videotape, $100, one hundred and thirty
Yeah.
nine dollars,
I
whatever,
re-
to buy a movie, and then all the rental places started up. The Some of the first uh, uh, movies to be made into videotapes were porn. They embraced the technology to get their product out. When
yes.
DVDs were available, they were among the first to do that. When streaming services started, so that you could rent a movie online and get it, the porn industry was there first.
Yeah.
So they always go to it. So
And I believe on the web too.
yeah,
Right
and
before, way before the YouTube.
oh, sure, sure. That is why I am amused when I see. Oh, hold on here. Let me remove this. Let me add this up. I mean, I see stuff like this online all the time, and
Yes.
no, nobody's making money from this. So
Yeah.
it's not like an artist was cheated out of a job. Somebody spent 5 or 10 minutes doing this for their own amusement and put it up,
Yeah.
and so you know that kind of stuff is being done. Uh, uh, if you troll through YouTube, you will see there are so many people that are doing these 1950s Panavisions style AI generated trailers that are like fake trailers for Star Wars and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Die Hard, basically anything you can think of.
Yes.
Uh, there's one guy out there with uh, who goes by the online name AI Trailerverse, and he's very good at doing these. And he'll do
Yes.
sexy ones. It's like Die Hard with supermodels, or uh, he put that up last week, and that one was loads of fun. But he's showing, even with the limitations of the software now, he's figuring out ways around it to get very interesting videos. Um,
Yeah.
and I talked to him about it, and he said there's no one program. You can't go to VO3 or whatever it's called and get everything that you want, or what is it, LTX Studio,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Artistly, or any of. No one program is going to give you what you need. So somebody has to have the creative and artistic skills to know what's going to look good, but also the technical skills to know how to put it together. So
Exactly.
the Trailerverse guy told me that he uses at least 6 different programs, plus a couple of different voice programs, plus a couple of editing programs. He said, "You realize for me to do a 2.5 minute trailer is a 100 hours of work, and I've had to use 10 different programs that I'm paying for, and so it's not like he's typing in a couple of descriptions and out pops a 2.5 minute video.
Right. There's a
That's
lot
not
of real work that's going into
yeah.
this.
Exactly,
So
because now you have also 11 labs with that voice. They can do different voices, and you can
yeah,
tell if it's a person or if it's AI.
yeah. Well, we were looking at that the other day, and I was still seeing a lot of limitations with that. I saw one that was supposed to be a duplication of a popular voiceover performer, and each take you got was different, and it didn't sound much like the person it was trying to duplicate.
Yeah.
And so those technologies aren't quite there yet. Or if they do get the voice right, they never get the inflections right.
Now you have a point, and we can take this to comic books too, because that image is so beautiful and all, but it's soulless. Doesn't have a
Exactly.
soul. Sometimes a simple sketch with a ball pen, and you have that soul that is beautiful. Uh,
Yeah, they're
that is
they're,
a
they're
problem for
yeah,
AI. So
yeah, there's a life to someone who was taking pencil or a brush to paper and creating something there. So that's why any of this that gets done as we start or as we continue to experiment with this because clients are asking for it, I only want to do it if it's in the hands of real artists that are controlling it as a tool and making money from
Right.
it.
exactly.
And
And
I don't want to deal with right now. Chris and I are talking about how are we doing this to move images? How can we create uh, graphics that um, or like a movie trailer, like the AI Trailerverse guy was talking about. If we wanted to do a trailer for a client that is trying to pitch a movie deal. They've only got $1,000 or whatever, and they want a pitch deck and they want this and that. What can we give them for that that will then raise real money? Then they can come to us to produce the animated movie in a traditional way,
Yes.
that kind of thing. So we're trying to figure out ways to help, but whatever help we give them is in the hands of Chris or other real artists that are producing this
Exactly,
material.
because on the other side, we we always have bad people
Yeah.
that generate images, put on Instagram, and said, "Hey, I was all night doing this. Look how beautiful
Oh
it
God.
is."
Well,
No, hit that like button.
yeah.
yeah.
Well,
No,
it is already to the point that the one the Mid Journey and some of these others that are scraping the net for images are putting up stuff that if you look carefully you can even see where it scraped something, and there's part of the embedded signature or something, or it's gotten to the point where it's stealing from itself because there's so
yes.
many generated images out there. And I
And if
want,
you are an artist, you are losing the chance to grow.
yeah, and and
If
and
you let the AI do everything for you, you won't grow.
yeah, but most of that stuff is being done by non-artists who can't do it and are faking their way through it. Uh,
Yes,
and I hate that because um, I I can't support the single image generated graphics that people are putting up that are stealing from other people's styles until the AI developers figure out a way to pay everybody that it's stealing from.
Right.
No, what they are doing is that if you put the name of the artist, they refuse to generate the image.
Mm.
It's easier.
Well, how do I say this? When some years ago, uh, we produced a record album, and it was produced and released in the Philippines. Now, instead of having to go a dozen different places to get the music rights to do that album, in the Philippines, they had a website that you could sign into, look up what song you wanted to get the music rights for that country. Here's the price, $143 to do this and to manufacture up to 5,000 CDs or whatever it was. So in the Philippines, they figured out a way to get artists all over the world paid for your usage of making those 5,000 CDs or
Yes.
whatever. So if and that was, oh my gosh, that was 15 years ago. So if 15 years ago they could figure out a way to do that for hundreds or thousands of artists, musical talents and writers and so forth all over the world, certainly they could do it for AI programs. Just set it up in the whatever they're charging people. You know, you use AI and you go beyond a certain number of credits, they charge you extra. So why can't they charge you extra to for all these images
Right.
and some of that money go back to the creators?
I,
Well,
I agree to
the
that.
the problem that lies with that is that there is no, like, for example, comic book like coalition that supports comic artists around the world and works in their best interest. Like, the
Yeah.
comic industry is very separated.
Oh, I get that, but uh, there should be ways to do it. Unfortunately, we don't we don't have a Supreme Court that's going to support the individual. They support the corporations now, but it's not hard to know who to pay. If you go to my Facebook page right now, I've put up a list, a 25-page list that was posted last year of the thousands of artists worldwide that Midjourney is stealing from. So there's a list, so we know exactly who they're stealing from. Just pay these people, you know,
Right.
and you know. So that's my
and
thought.
and also the user is being used to train the machine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a company out there called Babel Audio, and they hire people to have conversations, and they pay them, and that trains their AI language and voice models.
Exactly.
So, and
Yeah.
one thing
They they should
David.
pay.
Oh yeah, they do. I mean, it doesn't pay great, but they do pay. And one thing David and I have actually discovered recently is that AI is exceedingly good at creating songs based based
Suno.
on based on lyrics. So, like, I don't know,
It's
like,
Suno. Is that
yeah,
website Suno?
yeah. I don't know who they're taking, if they're taking from other people or stealing from other artists. I'm not sure how that particular section works, but it does a pretty darn good job.
Yeah. So Glasshouse will continue to study and experiment so that we have uh, of ways to put the software tech in the hands of our artists to make money. But I want to be very careful to do this right.
Yeah, we wanted to do it as ethically as possible.
Yeah. So
Oh, yes.
yeah. So
It's not correct to steal from. I don't do that. You go to the prompt and put Joe Madureira. No, never do that. You're
yeah.
stealing from him.
Yep.
Never do that.
That's a good first step. Yeah. So I want to segue while we still have time into talking about the late Jim Shooter.
Oh,
Yeah. And you were saying before we came on that you hadn't had any direct experiences with him, but
no.
you followed his stuff as a reader, of course.
Yes, as a reader.
And any
His name is very known here in Brazil.
I remember the stories of how he was 13 years old when he sold his first work to DC Comics.
Wow.
And I had asked him about that. He said he didn't even know how to write a script. So he
Oh my.
drew the panels and put in the word balloons, and he had sent that to Mort Weisinger, and he bought it.
Wow.
And so he ended up writing for them for a bunch of years and supported his family that way. And then as he kind of disappeared for a couple of years, then was back on the scenes at DC, and then moved over to Marvel as an assistant editor. And then it's like editors in chief didn't last long at Marvel. Roy Thomas, who succeeded Stan Lee, was only editor in chief for like 3 years, and then they went through Len Wein, who had health problems, so he didn't last about a year. Then there was Marv Wolfman, and I don't think he lasted much longer. Then Jerry Conway was an editor in chief for 3 weeks. And then Archie Goodwin was editor in chief. And then when Archie stepped down, there was Shooter, and he kept the job for 10 years. And which was an amazing amount of time considering how short a time people had stayed before. And he became quite a controversial figure because he had a lot of fights with writers and artists about what made good stories and so forth. But
But
he
I believe
he
this is a common thing. It's very common.
yeah. Apparently, the way he went about it was at the time difficult because none of the other editors in chief um, put their hands in it as closely as he did. It's like the editor in chief job had become more like trafficking books to production and just generally overseeing stuff, not as much hands on. So he became a very hands on guy to the point where he was personally reviewing a lot of the submissions. So I remember back in 1982, I had been submitting work to him, and he wrote to me and said, "Yes, I'd like to work with you. Call me and let's see what we can do." So this has got very strange. I called, and I guess it was his secretary or somebody was there. Said, "Oh, well, Dave, you called at a bad time because Jim just came back from his dentist, and his mouth is still on Novocaine." And you hear him in the background. I'll call back later. So I tried calling back 3 other times, never connected. I let a couple of weeks go by. It's like, all right, he's obviously busy on something else. And then I called and got the same secretary or whoever, and she said, "Well, Jim says that window of opportunity for you is gone." What the heck happened? And there was never another communication with him while he was running Marvel. And the next time I saw him, and this was quite odd. I was running innovation publishing, and it was strange when innovation was getting started out. We had an excuse me, an investment company, Century Equities, that had put through two sources, they had rounded up like $400,000 to get innovation started. And they kind of stayed out of my way as I was building it. And then by the end of 1991, suddenly innovation was something. We were number 4 in market share. There was Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, then innovation. That wasn't a bad place to be. And so they started doing odd things, which I could never understand. They brought in an executive consultant that was supposed to review our business for 2 weeks and tell them how we could do it better. And after 2 weeks, the investment guy said, buy more computers for the office. That was it. Then they brought in somebody else to be co-publisher with me. And he was there for like 6 months, and he really had no effect. And he had lied to me about a couple of things, and then I came in one day, and he was gone in the middle of the night. He cleaned out his desk. And
This
then crazy stuff. And then I hear the investment group is putting innovation either up for sale, and they talk to Marvel about possibly buying us. And then the next thing I hear, Jim Shooter is in the office of innovation. He's talking with the investment group about running innovation publishing. And it's like, I got it to number 4. What was I doing wrong? All of a sudden, there's Jim Shooter in here. And he looked at what they were doing and so forth. And when he finished his meeting with them, he said, "Dave, can we go to lunch?" So we did. We went to a sports bar in Wheeling, West Virginia. And he's sitting there with me and saying, "Dave, these guys are not looking out for your best interests. They offered me your share of the company to run it. I'm not going to do that. Instead, I'm going to start a new venture, and I don't know if it's going to be in Pittsburgh, back to my hometown, or if it's going to be in New York, but I'm going to start something new." And he said, so if I'm remembering the timing, this would have been when he was squeezed out of Valiant. So, excuse me. So he said, "Dave, I'm going to be in a better position to know what I'm doing in about a month and a half. Why don't I'm going to be in Columbus, Ohio, at whatever the convention was. Why don't you drive down to the convention? We'll have lunch there, and I'll tell you what my plans are, and we can go from there and see if maybe you should be involved." Okay. But in the meantime, I would suggest, legally, I can't tell you to leave innovation, but as a friend, I would say they are not looking out in your best interests. So you might want to look for other opportunities. Okay. So I went a month and a half later down to Columbus. We went to lunch. We didn't have lunch. He just wanted to have ice cream and hot tea. Well, I hadn't eaten breakfast that morning, and I had driven down the 2.5 hours to Columbus, but I didn't want to be chowing down on a big meal while he was having ice cream and hot tea. So that's what I ordered too. He said, I remember him saying to the lady, "I'm a big guy, so we need like a quadruple scoop of ice cream here." And I remember he drove me to the place where we had the ice cream and tea, and he had a big car, and he had the seat back all the way, and so it was interesting.
How tall was Jim?
People said he was 6'6", but he was taller. He had to be like 6'8". And so, gigantous car and seat back all the way and leaning back all the way, and he just barely fit into this big car. And so we had that we had the ice cream and tea, and he said, "All right, I've decided I'm going to set up my business in New York. Not sure what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm going to set it up in the next few months." Now, here's the thing. I love what you did at Innovation, he said. You worked on tiny budgets. I saw what your budgets were. And you did amazing books, Dark Shadows and Lost in Space and Quantum Leap and the Piers Anthony book, and beautiful books, well written, well drawn, well edited, well packaged. I would have done a few things differently, even though those are licenses, not superheroes. But everything that I'd want to teach you about how I want to do those things, I could teach you in half a day. I don't know how you manage to master all this stuff without having worked under an editor like Archie Goodwin or somebody, but you know what you're doing. So I can't tell you to leave Innovation, but what I will tell you is if you leave Innovation, if that should ever happen, theoretically, then you should give me a call, because I would find a job for you as my second in command at the new company. But I can't tell you to leave Innovation. That because legally I can't do that. So I ended up. I forget how many months later it was. 4 months, 5 months. I put in my resignation to Innovation, and I had decided to start Glasshouse Graphics, representing the artists from Brazil.
Oh.
And so I got it started, and I got my first job for somebody in a day. Joe Bennett started working on Green Hornet, and a few weeks into it, I finally worked up the courage, called Jim Shooter, and say, I just wanted to let you know that I have left Innovation and don't know what they're going to do, but I'm gone from there, and I am free and looking for work. He said, "Well, congratulations that you're out of Innovation. Those people were going to stab you in the back. I'm glad you were out before that happened. Okay, have a great career. Bye." What happened to that offer to go to his new company to be second in command? Never got an explanation. Never got a follow-up call, and that was probably the last I ever heard from Jim Shooter.
Wow. That is quite the story.
So those are my recollections, which are probably very different from anybody else.
I'm talking from this side. We were only reading those books, but all this was happening.
Yeah. So it's been a fascinating career, his and my experiences with him. So
Yeah.
that was that was that was it. Those are my Jim Shooter stories.
And
Uh,
I have to wonder if part of the controversy that he had with artists and writers and in the industry, and the reputation that he had was part, in fact, that he looked like he was going to take you like out back and beat you up for your lunch money.
uh, One person I know, uh, being very disingenuous, I guess, said Jim Shooter looked like Lurch had been bobbing for French fries, and very unpleasant. But so it was interesting. Oh, I do have one other story. Back in, oh my gosh, 1976, maybe 1977, somewhere in there. There was a convention, PitCon, and the Pittsburgh Comic Con. It was called PitCon at the time, and they were trying to raise money for a charity, and I was there with David Lawrence, Scott Rockwell, Doug Rockwell, and the four of us were in this charity thing that they were doing uh, to raise some money. Hold on, let me get rid of that. And so they had a real person up there that would handle auctions, the fast talking kind of thing, and nobody was bidding. And in the audience, because this was a smaller convention here, and because this was still in the 70s, um, Jim Shooter was there. Paul Levitz, future publisher of DC. There was, oh my gosh, Len Wein was there, and several others. And they saw that no money was being raised. So Len and Marv get up, and they like shove that guy out of the way and say, okay, we're going to do this. And they start doing the auction and interacting and being funny and so forth. So they're raising some money, but not nearly enough. So it goes, Len Wein says, all right, I'm going to auction off an hour of my time. And let's see if that goes. So he auctioned off that hour. Then Marv Wolfman comes up. I'm going to auction off an hour of my time. And then Jim Shooter. And somehow it ended up where David Lawrence and Scott and Doug and I rounded up our ones and fives and quarters and nickels and pennies. And we got an hour of everybody's time. Now, Jim Shooter and Paul Levitz joined them, and we ended up in a hotel room with all these comic creators, all to ourselves, to learn about breaking into comics. So here's Shooter, Len Wein, Marv Wolfman, Paul Levitz, a couple other folks whose names I'm blanking on right now. I even recorded the entire thing, transcribed it, and it was published in the Comics Buyer's Guide.
That's
back
fantastic.
Then. But it was nice that we had not only those guys, but Jim Shooter, who I don't think was part of the actual auction of those guys' time, and Paul Levitz had both joined in so that we could get everybody's comments and advice about what to do, what not to do in breaking in. And it was all advice that we all followed in the years that happened. And hey, here I am, 40 plus years in the comic business, and part of it was following their advice.
And I was 3 at the time.
You kids. Yeah.
So, how much did an hour of time go for back then?
I don't even remember. It was probably some insanely high amount of money, like $34.18. In 1977 dollars, but it was everything we brought, all the money we brought to the convention for buying lunch and maybe buying some comics and whatever. But might have been the best money we ever spent. For an hour, we controlled the comics industry.
That's
Uh,
fantastic. Yeah.
So,
That money these days will get you a couple tacos from Taco Bell.
oh,
yep. Uh, so,
oh my
so
God.
that's it for this portion. Thank you, Silvio, for being a part of
Oh,
all this with us.
I thank you for I can practice my English. My God, it's so terrible. I'm
Uh,
sorry about
your
that.
English is far better than my Portuguese will ever be. So thank you so much for being with us,
Thank you
sharing
so
not
much.
only your projects but your experience with the whole AI thing, and look forward to seeing more of your work.
Thank you.
All right. You have a good day, Sylvia.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, bye bye. Oh, he was just terrific.
He was fantastic to talk to.
All right. So before we wrap this up, do we have any artwork we want to look at?
We do. We have a portfolio that we're going to look at, and I apologies. I'm still working on I'm working the bugs out with our segment, our segue here,
That is fine.
video.
We don't
So
need that. We can go right into this. All right. Let me blow up this page big on my screen so what I can see here. Um, this fellow is actually pretty good. Looks like he's drawing all on paper, which is nice.
yep,
Um, some pretty good action in the first panel. He handles correctly the going out of the panel stuff with her left hand going into panel two. So we go from panel one to two correctly, and then we follow her legs down into panel three. So there's no visual confusion. This guy understands pretty much the flow of how a page should go. So I can follow it. There's an establishing shot there. There's action. The hair is moving. Shattering stuff. I have no real complaints about this. The style, maybe because he sent low res JPEGs, looks just a little rough, but I like everything about it. It's work that probably needs an inker and shouldn't be shot from pencil. So I believe a crisp inker could really make this work. I like this page.
good stuff.
All right, what do we got next? Okay, there we go. I'm not fond of inset panels. The way this page is going, he's got the first inset panel set up too high. It's going to crop off in the printed book. Why not just do two panels that don't inset? That I think that would work a little better. Okay, pretty good establishing shot there of going through the woods and the car and the dust and crap that it kicks up. All right, second panel of him lighting up stuff. All right, that kind of works. I was confused by the third panel. It's supposed to be a girl in the back seat, but is that supposed to be his rear view mirror? If so, it's shaped kind of oddly and is oblong. I don't quite get what that shot is.
Right.
Now you look on the left and the right, and there's two curved bars going down that I first thought were his rear view mirror shots, but it's too wide for that. Plus one goes off in an odd direction, so and she looks a little squished in the panel, so I don't quite understand that one. All right, next page. All right, so these are obviously from different stories. This looks like it is from my X-Men test plot. and I thought he did very nicely with the first page. He put a lot of effort into that bridge and those buildings. Um, the I don't get the second, third, and fourth panels. Again, he did insets that I it I know the story because I wrote it, and it was supposed to feel like a cinematic panning shot where you're coming in from the sky, going in through the city, and then finally reaching in through the window and seeing these characters. And we kind of lost that whole cinematic thing by doing these little panels and not doing them in a row.
Right.
So we kind of it sort of defeated the purpose of why they were there.
Okay.
All right. All right.
So I gotta add, I don't remember if I asked you this before. So I know your dislike of inset panels is well known. Um, what is a good reason to use an inset panel?
I I could see if someone is trying to do something cinematic where you've got the big shot and you have somebody's hand reaching for something that has to play out in the next shot. That can generally be done, but realistically speaking, go back and look at 100 issues of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four. Will you find an inset panel anywhere? Look at all the issues of John Buscema's Conan. Was there a reason to do an inset panel? Generally, there's not. It tends to be more like an artist showing off than it is being done for a good story reason.
Okay. So
Um, anything that anything that's done to tell a story better, I'm all for. Uh,
if they're used primarily for, like you say, focus on a specific
yeah,
thing,
then I think it would be better. Here, it was totally wasted because instead of improving the visual storytelling of what we were trying to do, it took away from it. You know,
okay,
it's too small to put word balloons in. I don't understand the purpose. So, wait, go back one.
oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what happened in the bottom panel. I don't know if it was the scanning of the page or is actually doing this or working from a reference, but it certainly feels much like the last panel on the previous page. It feels like the characters are squished,
Yep.
and I don't get it.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Yeah.
All right, next page. Um, wow. Uh, this I thought was a very nice page. It's got all the details. He was willing to put in every rivet and all those details on the tracks and the cars and so forth. And he's doing the stuff that I talk about in my seminars to make a page sort of live and breathe. He's got birds on the page. He's got stuff blowing in the wind. He's got people walking and so forth. So it's not a dead page. And Batgirl up on the top of the train, the cape's blowing, the hair's blowing. I just wish this were a better scan so I could see better how she was drawn.
Right.
But everything that I can see on the page, I like it a lot, and I think this could be very nicely inked and could be a beautiful spread. All right, this goes back to that other story. It's a shame these aren't in order, but yeah, these are fine. I kind of got lost for a second, just because on the previous page with the guy driving the car, we saw him lighting up a cigarette, and then I got to this page, and there's the car, there's hands. Oh, there's someone with the cigarette again. My first thought was it's the same person, and then I looked like, oh no, it's somebody else, um, and they're standing there. Okay, I get it. That would have, whoops, I don't know
Oh,
what happened.
sorry.
So that would have worked better to me if in panel 3, as she's lighting it, I would have given a different angle so we could clearly see that watch was on her,
Okay.
not on, just another bit of visual continuity that, a movie or TV director would do so we didn't lose track of who was who.
Yeah. Perfect.
So the rest of it works okay. Again, insets. Why? But this this is a continuation of the X-Men sequence earlier, though the characters seem to be different. So I'm not quite sure what had happened there. Um, what is here is okay. Um, I'm a little confused because if you look in panel 1 and panel 2, he's handing her a gift. She's opening the gift, but you look at how far his hand is away from her in panel 1, and then you get to panel 3 and you see how close together they are. It's like, was his chair really scooted back that far? The visual continuity isn't there.
Right.
And then she's holding the gift in her left hand. Then when you pull back to the establishing shot, she's holding it in her right hand. And then you get to the next panel, and I can't clearly tell, but it kind of looks like she's now holding a wine glass. And so I'm the visual continuity isn't quite there.
Right.
They are very close to the window. So why are they running to the window? Okay. I lost something there. It's like this page has a lot of problems, a lot of mistakes that I didn't see on the other pages. So I would have sent that page back for. Now, here's where we get into a page that I'm afraid he kind of loses me. He's got so much detail in here, plus these damned inset panels, that I kind of lost what's going on. It's like there's panel 1 and Batgirl's head is up in panel 2. Is she actually in that shot? No, because she's still in the I guess on the train in panels 3 and 4 and 5. There's just so much going on, and it just seems so damn cluttered. I really lose it there. I just now looking at it, I realized that the buildings over in what I thought were panel 3 are actually her cape flowing in still from panel 1. I've been reading comics for almost, well, over half a century, and I think I know how to read a comic book, and I kind of get lost in the combination of just too much detail, overlapping panels, inset panels for no good reason. It just kind of lost me. I would have rejected this page and said try again.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, these days as an editor, I wouldn't let the pages get this far because I would ask the artist to submit layouts first. And then I would catch these things, I would hope, in the layout stage and say, okay, this isn't going to work because this and this and this. Could we maybe try this other way of doing it and see what we get back?
Exactly. Yeah, this is a pretty confusing page. I mean, just
Yeah.
as a comic book reader, it's a pretty confusing page.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
and an artist needs to know what not to do as well as what to do. So,
Yeah. I wish these pages were in order for the story because we're bouncing among 2 or 3 different stories here. But uh, so this has the one lady that was smoking there. The other character gets out, but he's not on the side of the car that he got out of. He's already on the other side. So I'm losing that visual continuity. Now, the character that was all squished in the back seat 2 pages ago is finally getting out. Now they're all together. It's like, I think he could have staged all of this better. We're missing just visual movement continuity.
right.
So it's not as strong as his other pages. So it's like the portfolio you've been showing me started out strong, and then there are just more problems as we went along.
Right.
All right, now we're back to the X-Men test plot. What the way the script read, and they would see this creature rampaging through the streets, um, and then they are supposed to be rushing because people are getting crushed out there. People are dying. They're in this racing to change into their costumes so that they can fight this, Godzilla tall monster. Panels 2 and 3, those damned insets. Um, it doesn't look like they're racing to do anything.
No.
it looks like they're undressing to spend some happy time, not the Superman pulling open his shirt, kind of racing to do to change to do the heroic thing. So I think we lost the sense of urgency. But the monster and the action, and certainly is doing the buildings and all that. That's all cool. This guy's certainly willing to put in the work. Now we're back to the Batgirl story where she somehow came crashing in, and I'm not quite sure how. It kind of lost me. Where is this character in panel 2 that's holding the doodad? Okay, he's not in the establishing shot. I don't see him in panels 2 or 3 or 4. I'm kind of lost. He's put
Right.
in a ton of detail, but I don't know what's happening. So he went from some pretty good clarity to just getting cluttered and muddled. Let's do
Right.
one more page. All right, this is back to the story that with the car. Okay, so establishing shot. This girl is in this room. Okay, again, I'm kind of lost. Okay, she's in a room, sitting in a chair, and there's a desk. Now she's alone, eyes closed, not saying anything. Where is this lady? I guess she's at that desk, or is she? Because in the establishing shot, we saw that the room had windows behind the girl.
Right.
Now the windows are next to the lady that we saw smoking and meeting the car on the previous pages. But she's sitting there. Is that the same desk? We see it in panels 2 and 3. And now we get to panel 1, 2, 3, 4. Get to panel 5. I don't see those same windows. I'm kind of lost of where they were sitting. And, uh, okay, the girl from panels 1 and 2 that had this hood over her now suddenly has the hood off her. It would have been nice in the previous panel to see her flipping it back as she's making a point.
Exactly.
It becomes a telling point or a character reveal or something as she pulls that back to talk and to emphasize something. So a lot of it I'm not quite getting. Now, the artist could say, no, I'm working from a script and this is what it said. Well, it becomes the artist's job to give that script the clarity that it needs. And so, whether he's doing it all by himself or whether he's working from the script, he's got to make sure it works visually.
Right.
All right. So, there are a lot of things about this artist I like. I like his willingness to put in the detail, put in the work. I like that he's drawing traditionally. There are some places his storytelling is strong enough. There's some places where it gets really muddled. And for God's sake, stop using the insets because it's not improving your storytelling. So that's it on there. So I would love to see this guy go back with what the stuff we've talked about and give me some more improved pages.
Yes, artist always has to be willing to go and make those corrections and to move things forward.
Yep. So and if somebody reaches out to me and they're really willing to put in the work and they're this close, I tend to be willing to work with them more. It's like, okay, send me, here's a test plot. Send me the layouts first. We'll go over those to make sure they're right before you go to the finish. And then that way they get samples that they can actually show to editors. Now, I would also advise this guy, even though he's put all his work into these pages, the ones that are the problems, don't put them on your social media. Don't put them in your portfolio. You don't want the world to see your mistakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Doctors bury their mistakes. Artists post them online for the world to see.
That is so true. That is so true. And it boggles my mind the number of artists that aren't willing to go back and make those corrections, that are sending you their stuff and they expect, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm going to sell this to Marvel and you're going to be making $1 million, and they don't want, they're not willing to put the work in. So
very true. And some of those artists may follow up and send me new pages, but precious few will send me those pages revised for what I told them. And they say, oh, well, I already did those. I'm bored already with that. I want to do something new. Great. But you didn't learn anything from the experience of making those corrections.
right.
And in the real world of doing those books for publishers, editors, at least the savvy ones, are going to ask for corrections to make them as the pages as good as they can be in the time they have.
Right.
Yeah. I once dealt with an artist who had gotten an assignment, but he did everything he could to turn the pages in at the last minute so there would be no time to make corrections. In his mind, the corrections were just an editor had to show off, when in reality, he couldn't see, okay, your storytelling is goofed up on here. Well, you've got this one eye down here and it ought to be up here. He couldn't see his own mistakes. And so he actually crowed to his fellow artists about how he put one over on the editors because, well, they didn't have time to make the corrections. And I said, so you're proud of the fact that your mistakes got into print rather than being as good as they could be? Nah, the pages were fine. I don't know what to say, but Uh, it's fa- it, the art that artist didn't get any more work from that editor. Yeah. So,
Artists are weird and mysterious creatures. They truly are.
uh, uh, but as an artist, you know that there are deadlines, there are corrections, there are you do what needs to be done to get the work as good as it can be in the time that you have.
Exactly.
Not every video editing job, not every comic book page can be absolutely perfect because everything is on a deadline.
Right.
But we make things as good as we can in the time that we have.
Exactly. And for artists that are watching and are thinking about they want to work with Dave, they want to work with Glass House, they want to get into the comic book industry. How many years did we go back and forth before something actually
I
came
I
of it?
I don't even remember. Sometimes it really is multiple years before the opportunities uh, come up, or that somebody has gotten good enough to do that. I've had situations where artists have been sending me stuff on and off for 15 years. There have been artists that submitted something to me in 2009, and then they were demoralized because I gave them an accurate review of their stuff. Never sent anything to me again, but I have a watch list. I follow them on social media and watch as they've grown and improved on their own. And there have been a few cases where I've reached out many years later. It's like, I think you may be ready. Show me your current portfolio. And they're now on my roster. But it's different for each and every artist.
Right. But
Some artists never reach that level, and it's honestly frustrating to me because I see how much these guys want the job,
mhm.
and the probably the saddest thing I ever hear is an artist that's not good enough saying, "Just give me a chance." Okay, but I did. You submitted your portfolio. I reviewed it. That was your chance.
Right.
Or I've reviewed it. I've asked for corrections that I sometimes didn't get. Well, that was your chance. It's not as though if I were to say, all right, I'm going to give you an opportunity here. This publisher at Hef Publishing has an 8-page story for you to do. It's not as though that artist, he or she is magically going to get better because they're being paid for that assignment.
Right.
If anything, it's going to be worse because now you're on a deadline. And as painful as it is, rarely is a new artist's work on deadline as good as his portfolio was, because he could work on the portfolio at his or her leisure and make it the best they could be.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
Deadline. Yeah.
yes,
Deadlines are just the pressure is it's it's hard to imagine what it's actually like until you have to deal with it. So
yeah. And so that becomes a problem. And I'd love to give these guys the chance, but if they can't get beyond submitting an acceptable portfolio or can't get beyond doing corrections on something, then excuse me, then it's just not going to work for them. At least not yet. I have a colorist I'm working on a project right now. Experienced, been working with me over a dozen years. Did some work at Marvel, worked with some independent books, and he's coloring one of my projects. And he submitted some stuff, and I said, "This isn't your best." And I go in and I analyze each page for him. And he goes back and he does the adjustments I've asked for. And then it came back. No, this still isn't right. Try this, maybe adjust this. Your light source, you've forgotten that you established the light source overhead here. So why do you have this light source, but it's not affecting any of the characters below it?
Right.
And you've forgotten the light source in panels 2 and 3, but you have it in panel 4. You've missed all that. And I mentioned, look, be consistent with your light sources the first time I asked. So it goes back for a second set of corrections. And then it comes back. It's like, wow, okay, you did all that and more. The page is great now. Approved. And this is a guy I've worked with for a decade. He understands that revisions and adjustments are just part of the process.
Exactly.
So, and the book is on a deadline, and he has to turn out work at a certain speed so that he makes a certain amount of money per week.
Right.
So, but we're working together to make the work as good as it can be on the deadline. So that's my speech for today.
All right. Well, thank you for everyone who joined and watched us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. And
I do want to say anybody that wants to contribute on YouTube or on my Facebook page to this whole discussion about incorporating AI into artists' work, so they are paid for what they're doing when the clients ask for it. I'm interested in hearing everybody's pros and cons.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to continue this conversation on Facebook. So yeah, send David either a private message or on one of his posts, and we can continue the conversation there. And if you would like to send your portfolio to David to review on the show or otherwise, you can send it to david@glasshousegraphics.com. Or if you have to, or if you want to, you can send it to me at ghthrowingstones@glasshouse.com. So those are your two avenues there. And we would love to see your portfolio and review it online. So
Who do we have next week?
Yes, we have Brian Haberlin, colorist extraordinaire, and now fine artist. I've been I don't know if you've seen his fine art that he posts on Facebook, but
I have not. I look forward to seeing it next weekend.
It is mind-blowing.
All these years in the business, and I don't think he and I have ever had a chance to talk. So I think this will be a wonderful show next week, which will be our Superman weekend show. Looking forward to seeing that, which I will be going to check immediately after our podcast next week.
All right, fantastic. Yeah, we'll have to talk about your thoughts on this new Superman movie. So, all right, thank you for joining us and watching. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share. That helps us out a lot. And we will see you again next week.
All right, thank you all.
All right, bye. Hold on, something's going on here. Back to the streets.